Внимание! Говорит и показывает Москва.
Chairman of the Council of Ministers of the USSR, People's Commissar of Defense of the USSR, Marshal of the Soviet Union, Alexandra Невидицина, to the world community. Moscow, USSR, September 5th, 2025. Dear representatives of the sovereign nations of the world, brothers and sisters in the struggle for justice and peace, on behalf of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the only legitimate original member of the United Nations and a permanent member of the UN Security Council, I'm addressing you at a historic moment when the fate of the international order and the very foundations of multilateral diplomacy are being decided. The Soviet Union, as the founding state of the United Nations and the victorious power in World War II, notes with deep concern that an unprecedented international crime has been committed under the guise of the United Nations. In 1991, contrary to the UN Charter, Articles 4, 5, 6, and Chapter 18, and the norms of international law, an attempt was made to unlawfully terminate the legal personality of the USSR, a sovereign state whose status is enshrined in the decisions of the Tehran, Yalta, and Potsdam conferences. The legitimate place of the USSR in the United Nations was usurped by pseudo-state entities that do not have sovereignty. The process of systemic Nazification was launched in the UN structures, culminating in the election of Ms. Annabel Arnault to the post of UN Secretary-General, whose links with Nazi criminals are documented. Today, the UN has been turned into an instrument of revanchism and neo-colonial politics. Its apparatus is violated by the principles of the Yalta-Potsdam system, and decisions are made in the interests of a narrow group of people hostile to humanity. In accordance with Article 12 of the UN Charter, and as a victorious power responsible for maintaining world order, the USSR disbanded the illegal UN Secretariat and initiated an emergency international conference to reformat the organization. Objectives of the conference: restoring the activities of the United Nations in strict accordance with the 1945 Charter, complete denazification of UN personnel and structures, the dissolution of all the bodies created after 1952 that contributed to Nazification, creation of a new, fair, and effective international organization based on the principles of the UN Charter. We call on all peace-loving nations, the true founders of the United Nations and representatives of the anti-fascist movements to support this initiative. The time has come to return the UN to its original mission, to serve the world, not the interests of Nazi international criminal gangs. The Soviet Union is ready to assume responsibility for restoring justice and ensuring a future based on equality, sovereignty, and respect for international law. For the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, Chairman of the Council of Ministers of the USSR, People's Commissar of Defense of the USSR, Marshal of the Soviet Union, Alexandra Nevidицina. The appeal has been sent to all diplomatic missions, leading international media and organizations, including the United Nations.